So there's a concrete pad, I don't know, about 100 yards away from my in-laws' house, and we pile up a bunch of wood and light it up and sing some Christmas carols and roast marshmallows and look at the stars. It's really fun.
Yeah, and my parents live out in the country, and they have 22 acres of prairie that they've planted and a little hardwood forest, and so it's very dark and very isolated. So it's really beautiful, and it's usually incredibly cold.
Yes.
And we stay out there as long as we can stand being out there. But it's a lot of fun. We try to cook dinner out there. Sometimes we'll have potatoes that are not roasted all the way through, or burnt ones. And
yeah.
Culinary excellence is not what we turn to my family for. Rob's family, actually, there's always amazing food at my in-laws' house.
Lots of food at my family. The normal stuff, green bean casserole, of course, is my favorite, so I make sure they always make it every year.
This is actually my family's one and only recipe that has been passed down over generations. And apparently it was a very common dessert to be made in Ogden, Iowa, because there are a lot of families that have fudging recipes in Ogden, which is where my dad was born, and actually where I was born and lived through kindergarten. And my great-grandma made them, and my grandma made them, and now my mom makes them, and I make them. One of the big things for me as a kid was we just didn't have junk food in our house very much. So we would make these once a year at Christmas time, or sometimes on New Year's Day. It depended on, just when it fell. But we could eat as many of them as we wanted to. And so that was huge for us to be able to dredge a donut in sugar and wolf down as many as we could. And now I am in the kitchen with 3 generations of my family. This is my mom, Linda, and this is my daughter, Audrey. And we are making fudgens, which is a kind of German donut that has been passed down in our family for generations. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to do a lot of the cooking here because this is a 3-hour process, but it's a pretty simple recipe. We just have yeast and water, flour and sugar. Toward the end, you put in the raisins. And we do all the mixing by hand, which is kind of difficult, actually. And you let it rise for about 45 minutes, then you punch it down, and you let it rise again, and this is what it's supposed to look like, right, Mom?
It looks perfect.
And we only ever make this once a year, so. In fact, in the recipe, there are lots of really funny steps that we're afraid to skip, right?
Kind of hokey things like shortening the size of a walnut.
Right. So this is a very old recipe, and we're afraid to mess with it because then it won't work anymore. So you just get a scoopful, and you drop it into the oil. You can do the next one, Audrey.
Okay.
Nice. You want to do a couple more?
Sound good, like they're cooking.
So you have to wait a little while. Mom, how do you know when it's time to flip them over?
You flip one over, and if it's time, it looks perfect. They're a little bit golden in color.
Right, you're looking for a light golden brown.
I would try that one and see what it looks like.
And you don't want them to be doughy or too doughy in the middle. You want them to be a little bit doughy in the middle.
Yeah, that's probably just perfect.
I think you can do that one, too. Good job.
Yeah. And usually about now, the whole family's gathering around, just, we want some.
All right, we'll get those out of there. Oh, looks perfect. Good job.
Good job. Okay.
Okay, get the darker one first.
Okay.
That one you know is done. There you go.
And then I think this one was next.
And that's a classic fudgen shape with the handle coming off of it.
Man, I think it was this one.
All right.
And then this one.
And you know what's next, right, Audrey?
Yes.
Then you roll them in sugar and you eat them, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, we'll get some expert tasters on to help us out with that part. Does that sound like a good plan? All right, now we've brought some of the eaters in to help us out. This is my dad, Dennis, and my son, Carter. And Dad, since you've been doing this longer than anybody, why don't you demonstrate the proper fudging technique? Straight into the sugar, both sides.
Yep, there you go.
Very important. And then we don't plate them up, we just eat them.
Make sure you sprinkle some across the table anyway.
Guys, you can be next. Go ahead.
Well done.
All right, good. What do you think? Good? And make sure you got a lot of sugar, Carter. I know that's the most important part for you. All right.
Okay.
Thanks for coming, everybody.